Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Aganda Timarandasya Ganajana Shivakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tajma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. The following video series is a summary of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam was translated into English by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Also included are His in-depth commentaries known as purports. These purports unpack the often complex and symbolic language of the text, making it understandable to a wider audience. The Srimad Bhagavatam, also known as the Bhagavat Purana, is considered the most important of sacred scriptures. Composed around 5,000 years ago, it is considered the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature and the original commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam is Srila Vyasadeva. He is also the compiler of the Vedas, classified as a Purana, a vast genre of ancient stories and knowledge encompassing history, philosophy, and spiritual teachings. Srimad Bhagavatam includes stories of avatars, creation narratives, lives of saints and sages, philosophy discourses, and practical guidance for spiritual life. Divided into 12 cantos with over 18,000 verses covering 10 subject matters. 1. The elemental creation. 2. The secondary creation. 3. The planetary systems. 4. Protection by the Lord. 5. The creative impetus. 6. Manvatars. 7. The science of God. 8. The dissolution. 9. Liberation. And 10. The supreme shelter. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 25, text 143 and 144, Lord Chaitanya, speaking to Prakrisananda Saraswati, tells him. Translation. The meaning of the Vedanta Sutra is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. The full purport of the Mahabharata is also there. The commentary of the Brahma Gayatri is also there and fully expanded with all Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the Supreme Purana. It was compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His incarnation as Vyasadeva. There are 12 cantos, 335 chapters, and 18,000 verses. Canto 5, chapters 9 through 17. Chapter 9. The Supreme Character of Jad Bharat. Srila Sukadeva Goswami continued, after having given up the body of a deer, he took birth in the womb of the youngest wife of a Brahmin. In this life, he could also remember the activities of his past life, and in order to avoid the influence of society, he remained like a deaf and dumb person. He was very careful not to fall down again. He did not mix with anyone who was not a devotee. Although his father wanted to give him an education and purify him as a Brahmin by offering him the sacred thread, he remained in such a way that his father and mother could not understand that he was crazy and not interested in the reformatory method. Nonetheless, he remained fully Krishna conscious, even without undergoing such official ceremonies. Due to his silence, some people who were no better than animals began to tease him in many ways, but he tolerated this. After the death of his father and mother, his stepmother and stepbrothers began to treat him very poorly. He was ordered by his stepbrothers and mother to guard a paddy field, and at a time the leader of a dacoit party took him away and tried to kill him by offering him as a sacrifice before Bhadrakali. When the dacoits brought Marat Maharaj before the goddess Kali and raised a chopper to kill him, the goddess Kali became immediately alarmed due to the mistreatment of a devotee. She came out of the deity and, taking the chopper in her own hands, killed all the dacoits there. A verse from chapter 9 is text 19. Evam eva kalu madhad abhicharati krama kartsnena tame pavlati. Translation. When an envious person commits an offense, Before a great personality, he is always punished in a way mentioned above. Chapter 10. The discussion between Jad Bharat and Maharaj Rahugana. Sukadeva Goswami continued, a carrier of the king Rahugana's palanquin was needed, and to fulfill this need, the chief carriers found Jad Bharat as the most likely person to do the work. He was therefore forced to carry the palanquin. While carrying it, however, he was very careful to see that he did not step on an ant, and whenever he saw one, he would stop until the ant had passed. Because of this, he could not keep pace with the other carriers. The king within the palanquin became very disturbed and chastised Jad Bharat with filthy language. But Jad Bharat, being completely freed from the bodily conception, did not protest. He proceeded carrying the palanquin. When he continued as before, the king threatened him with punishment. And being threatened by the king, Jad Bharat began to talk. He protested against the filthy language used by the king when the king chastised him. And the king, hearing the instructions of Jad Bharat, was awakened to his real knowledge when he came to understand that he had offended a great, learned, and saintly person. At that time, he very humbly and respectfully prayed to Jad Bharat. He now wanted to understand the deep meaning of the philosophical words used by Jad Bharat, and with great sincerity, he begged his pardon. A verse from chapter 10 is text 13. Umata mata javat sva sam katasya me virachichiksti tena atakya bhavavat shiksitena sabha parmatasya cha pista pesa. Translation. My dear king, you have said, you rascal, you dull, crazy fellow, I'm going to chastise you, and then you will come to your senses. In this regard, let me say that although I live like a dull, deaf, and dumb man, I am actually a self-realized person. What will you gain by punishing me? If your calculation is true, and I am a madman, then your punishment will be like beating a dead horse. There will be no effect. When a madman is punished, he is not cured of his madness. Chapter 11. Jad Bharat instructs King Rahugana. In this chapter, the Brahmin Jad Bharat instructs Maharaj Rahugana in detail. He tells the king, you are not very experienced, yet you pose yourself as a learned person because you are very proud of your knowledge. Actually, a person who is on the transcendental platform does not care for social behavior that sacrifices spiritual advancement. The conditioned soul is always overpowered by the modes of material nature, and consequently he is simply concerned with material benefits. In other words, the mind, which is the leader of the senses, is absorbed in material activities life after life. Thus he continuously gets different types of bodies and suffers miserable material conditions. On the basis of mental concoction, social behavior has been formulated. If one's mind is absorbed in these activities, he certainly remains conditioned within the material world. The living entity who is freed from mental concoctions attains the platform of the pure spirit soul, devoid of material contamination. A verse from chapter 11 is text 2. Tattaiva rajna uru garhamena vitana vidyoru vidrim bitesu naveda vadesu hitatva vada prayena sudhotu chaksaksi sadhu. Translation. My dear king talks of the relationship between the master and the servant. The king and the subject and so forth are simply talks about material activities. People interested in material activities which are expounded in the Vedas are intent on performing material sacrifices and placing their faith in their material activities. For such people, spiritual advancement is definitely not manifest. Chapter 12. Conversation between Maharaj Rahugana and Jad Bharat. In this chapter, Maharaj Rahugana offers a respectful obeisance to Jad Bharat. The king could understand by his speech how exalted and advanced he was in spiritual knowledge. He very much regretted his offense against him. Maharaj Rahugana was bitten by the serpent of ignorance, but was cured by the nectarian words of Jad Bharat. Later, because he was doubtful about the subjects discussed, he made further inquiries, one question after another. First, he wanted to be released from the offense he had committed at the lotus feet of Jad Bharat. Everything in the material world is but a transformation of earth. Although things have different names according to their transformations, actually the varieties are one and the same. Nothing is permanent in this material world. The absolute truth is beyond illusion and is manifest in three features: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jud Bharat also told about his own previous birth and informed the king that by the grace of the Lord he still remembered all the incidences of his past life. Due to his activities of his past life, Jud Bharat was being very cautious and avoided the bad association of materialistic men. This can be easily done by the association of devotees. A verse from chapter 12 is text 12. Rahu gana itat tapasyanayati nache yaya nirva padan grihadva najan tassa naiva jalagni survyayir vina mahatpada rajo bisekam. Translation. My dear King Rahugana, unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. One cannot realize the absolute truth simply by observing celibacy, brahmachari, strictly following the rules and regulations of household life, leaving home as a vanaprast, accepting sannyas, undergoing severe penances in winter by keeping oneself submerged in water or surrounding oneself in the summer by fire and the scorching heat of the sun. There are many other processes to understand the absolute truth, but the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. Chapter 13. Further talks between King Rahugana and Jud Bharat. The Brahmin Jud Bharat became very kind to King Rahugana, and to disassociate him from the material world, he spoke figuratively of the forest of material enjoyment. He explained that this material world is like a great forest in which one becomes entangled due to association with material life. Coming into the forest and being captivated by so many material attractions, one identifies himself with this material world, society, friendship, love, and family. Having lost the path and not knowing where to go, being harassed by nature, one is also victimized by many desires, and thus one works very hard within the forest and wanders here and there. He becomes captivated by temporary happiness and becomes aggrieved by so-called distress. He forgets that one day he will die. Although he suffers severely being illusioned by the material energy, he still hankers after material happiness. In this way, he completely forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By hearing this from Jud Bharat, Maharaj Rahugana revived his Krishna consciousness and thus benefited from Jud Bharat's association. He could understand that his illusion was over, and he begged pardon from Jud Bharat for his misbehavior. A verse from chapter 13 is text 12. Vakit kvachit Krishna danastu tasmin svayasana sitana viraha hina yachan parad apratila padakama parakya drishti labhate vanaman. Translation. On the forced path of material existence, sometimes a person is without wealth and due to this does not have a proper home, bed, or sitting place, nor proper family enjoyment. He therefore goes to beg money from others, but when his desires are not fulfilled by begging, he wants to borrow or steal the property of others. Thus he is insulted in society. Chapter 14. The material world as the great forest of enjoyment. Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukadeva Goswami about the direct meaning of the material forest allegory. Sukadeva Goswami explains that the material world is vividly portrayed as a dense, bewildering forest through a powerful allegory. The soul depicted as a conditioned being becomes entangled in the pursuit of sense gratification, distracted by family attachments, desires, or wealth, and the modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. These distractions, symbolized by thieves, wild animals, and treacherous paths, ensnare the soul, pulling it away its real purpose, self-realization, and devotion to the Supreme Lord. Sukadeva Goswami stresses that this forest of material existence traps the soul in a cycle of suffering and illusion. However, it offers a clear solution. Only through spiritual knowledge and unwavering devotion to the Supreme Lord can the soul navigate these obstacles, transcend the material entanglement, and ultimately attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death. A verse from chapter 14 is text 10. Kapchit Srakad Avagat Vishaya Vitaitatya Svayam Parabhi Dayanena Vibramsita Smritis Taya Eva Marishi Toya Pranam Tan Eva Bi Havati. Translation: the conditioned soul sometimes personally appreciates the futility of sense enjoyment in the material world, and he sometimes considers material enjoyment to be full of miseries. However, due to his strong bodily conception, his memory is destroyed, and again he runs after material enjoyment, just as an animal runs after a mirage in the desert. Chapter 15, the glories of the descendants of King Priyavarta. In this chapter, Sukadeva Goswami continues to describe the descendants of Bharat Maharaj. The son of Maharaj Bharat was named Sumati. He followed the path of liberation given by Vrishabhdev. Sumati and his successors were exemplary rulers who adhered to Dharma while maintaining deep devotion to the Supreme Lord. This chapter underscores the significance of spiritual knowledge and devotional service, teaching that even amidst worldly duties, liberation is attainable by aligning one's life with devotional activities. This chapter inspires readers to prioritize their relationship with God, ensuring spiritual fulfillment. A verse from chapter 15 is text 13. Yat prinanad parisi devatriyan manushya varutrinam avirinchat priyeta sadya saha vishvajiva prita svayam pritim agagayasya. Translation: when the Supreme Lord is pleased by a person's actions, automatically all the demigods, human beings, animals, beasts, bees, creepers, trees, grass, and all other living entities, beginning with Lord Brahma, are pleased. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the supersoul of everyone, and he is by nature fully pleased. Nonetheless, he came to the arena of Maharaj Gaya and said, I am fully pleased. Chapter 16, a description of Jambudvip. Maharaj Pariksit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami how Maharaj Priyavarta's chariot created 7 ditches in which the 7 oceans came into existence. Sukadeva Goswami explains that Bhumandala is like a lotus flower, and its 7 islands are compared to the world of the lotus. The place known as Jambudvip is in the middle of that world. In Jambudvip, there is a mountain known as Sumeru, which is made of solid gold. The height of this mountain is 84,000 yojanas, of which 16,000 yojanas are below the earth. Its width is estimated to be 32,000 yojanas at its summit and 16,000 yojanas at its foot. Surrounding Sumeru mountain are 4 mountains known as Mandara, Merumandara, Suparsva, and Kumuda. On these 4 mountains there are trees 100 yojanas high, a mango tree, a rose apple tree, a kadamba tree, and a banyan tree. There are also lakes full of yogurt, honey, sugarcane juice, and pure water. A verse from chapter 16 is text 23. Yayu payun na gyananam mukha nirvasito vayu samatat chatat yoganam anuvasayati. Translation: the air carrying the scent from the mouths of those who drink that honey perfumes the land for 100 yojanas around. Chapter 17, the descent of the river Ganges. Sukadeva Goswami describes that Lord Vishnu once approached Bali Maharaj while the king was performing his sacrifice. The Lord appeared before him as Trivikram, or Vamana, and begged alms from the king in the form of 3 steps of land. With 2 steps, Lord Vamana covered all 3 planetary systems and pierced the covering of the universe with his big toe. Through the hole, the pure water entered the universe as the Ganges River. This river first falls on the head of Lord Shiva. The Ganges River then inundates the heavenly planets and then flows through Brahmapur, atop Mount Meru. Here, the river divides into 4 branches. One branch then reaches Bharat Varsha, where it flows into the ocean of salt water. Sukadeva Goswami next describes how Lord Shiva worshipped Lord Sankarshan by offering various prayers. A verse from chapter 17 is text 17. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Om Namo Bhagavate Mahapurusha Sarvaguna Sankayana Yan Natatya Vayakta Nama Iti. Translation. The most powerful word Shiva says, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. In your expansion as Lord Sankarshan, you are the reservoir of all transcendental qualities. Although you are unlimited, you remain unmanifest to the non-devotees. Hare Krishna.